But I thought, boy, go through everything and didn't get hurt or nothing, and then aboard ship would have trouble falling off a ladder
Yeah,
or something.
right.
But and we came back into New York there and saw the Statue of Liberty, and the band was playing some type of music, welcome us home,
Uh-huh.
and so I came home in 1946, and I got home. There was almost nothing, no work, couldn't find a job. So I stayed around home there for 10, 12 days and went to Tinkerfield and re-enlisted in the Air Force that time.
Uh-huh.
And that was for a 3-year period. So that made me 50, and that was over. I had about 58 months in service. But I went to Panama and was there for a good while, but I was still guarding in MP, and I was patrol at night patrol in Oklahoma City on the streets, checking all bars and everything for GIs, checking their pass and new uniform and everything. That went on for several months, and then they sent me. They picked out 3 of us and sent us to Carlisle Barracks, Pennsylvania, to a criminal investigation school. And from that time on, we weren't MPs anymore. We were criminal investigators. And from there, they sent me. They was on our way going back to Europe again. Well, we got to New York, and they had a terrible snowstorm. I don't know, over 2 foot of snow. And we was there for several days, missed the boat, so they sent us to Panama in rig changer route where we were going to go. So I went to Panama, and I was there as a criminal investigator at Howard Air Force Base. And then from there, I was sent to Puerto Rico, and then they were supposedly closing the base on Antigua. So they sent me from there to Antigua, and I was there until my 3 years was nearly up. So they moved me back to Panama, and I was only there a few days, and they sent me to San Antonio, and I got discharged. By that time, I decided that I'd had enough, because it was a period when the Army and the Air Force were separating, making 2 separate branches, and the Army was still getting all the funds, and we couldn't get help on our invasion, and we couldn't get it. We were supposed to be wearing civilian clothes, and we couldn't get any money to buy our clothes with. So everybody knew what her rank was. And by that time, I made staff sergeant, and anyway, I was a little discouraged, and I decided I'd had enough military. So when I got back stateside, when they sent us to San Antonio, I got discharged. That time I came back home.
What year was that?
That was in 1949.
And how old were you then?
Well, 21.
Okay.
So
You're still pretty young.
from that point, I carpentered. No, I looked for a job around home. There wasn't much work to be done or anything, and I wound up going back to Oklahoma City and hiring off as a magazine salesman.
Yeah.
So I went with a crew traveling over many states.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall how many states, but I had pretty good luck at that. So I spent a little over a year at that, and my aunt called, finally found where I was at, and she wanted me to come home for something. I don't know what reason. But I came home, and I went to carpentering with a man, a friend of mine, around Buffalo. So we carpentered there for fairly almost a year. In 1952, then somebody suggested I'd wasted my time. I need to go back and go to college. So that's what I did. I went to Goodwill, Panhandle State. I spent 4 years there. And I met Helen. She was from Boise City, and we married out there. And we were made dorm parents while I was there. And so anyway, we left in 1955, and I took a job with the Department of Wildlife Conservation. So I spent 31 years as a game biologist, and I retired from there in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, well, I started a little farm and raising a few head of cattle, something to do, and I enjoyed that. That's the way I grew up. But I enjoyed my work with the wildlife department. I traveled. I was assigned 7 counties, the northwest Oklahoma counties, and my main job was turned into the turkey biologist. I trapped and transplant turkey over western Oklahoma, and man, I don't recall, but somewhere close to between 5,000 and 6,000 wild turkey we trapped and transplanted.
Mm-hmm.
And
You got them from the Rio Grande?
the Rio Grande, yes. And we sent 2 gobblers and 4 hens to a release site. And I can't recall what we had many duties, but besides the trapping, that was a winter job. The rest of the time, I managed public hunting areas like Fort Supply, Optimal, Lake Schultz, and Lake Hetling, and the Rita Blanket grasslands in Seminole County. I was on the road an awful lot. That itself got awful tiring. But I enjoyed the work though, and I remember the other department personnel. I enjoyed them, and we'd have a meeting once a year at least. Of course, that trap and transplanting turkey, that was just a wintertime deal, and that way I get to travel around and meet several other guys, and when we bait the turkey up and ready to drop the net, well, then I'd call in some help, have 2, 3, 4 guys come in and help, and then they haul them off, and then I would pick up the net and load it in my pickup.
Would you put them in boxes?
And put them in cardboard boxes, tape the boxes shut, and we even sent several turkeys to other states.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate to make one trip to South Dakota with a load of turkey, and we ran into a snowstorm, an ice storm, on the way up there, and we had a terrible time there because the boxes were wet, and we was trying to keep the whole boxes together because the old cardboard was waxed on the inside, but still but we made it through. And the people up there were real good to us, and I got to go ice fishing before we headed back home. But that's almost my life history.
What's
I've had a good life.
yeah?
After we wound up with two boys and two girls in her marriage, and they, all four of them had been successful in their lives, and we enjoyed visiting with them nowadays. That was Lucian, Linda, Derek, and Brett. But I've lived a good life and I've enjoyed it.
That's great.